From the TBD studios, let's talk live with your hosts, Natasha Barrett and Melanie Hastings.
Well, speaking of dogs, it's always important to have a plan for your family in case of an emergency. But are you making sure to include the whole family in that plan? Dr. Katy Nelson is here to make sure we take care of our pets in case of disaster. And if you haven't noticed, she has a friend with her. This is Callie.
I do. This is Callie. And Callie has a bit of a disaster going on herself with her waistline. But Callie is 5 years old, and she's looking for a home. She's at the Alexandria Welfare League on Eisenhower Avenue. And she was surrendered to the shelter. Her owner couldn't keep her any longer. But she is a very sweet little girl who obviously has a wonderful appetite. And so Callie needs to go find a home and find a weight loss plan.
Yes, a bit of a diet as well.
Exactly. And when Callie goes home from the shelter, she will go home with a very detailed recommendation
right, of what she needs.
Caloric intake and what type of diet and how much exercise. But she's a really easy dog, so they call her a level 1 dog, meaning that pretty much anybody with any level of canine experience could handle this little girl. She is just very, very sweet. I mean, she walks on the leash really well. Aww. She's a snuggle bug, and she rode in the car very well as well. So I think that she would be a really easy little dog.
What about for people who already have pets in their family? Do we know, does she interact well with other dogs?
So far, from what I've learned from the shelter, they said that she's done really well with other dogs. I don't know about cats. I don't know if they've tested her with cats just yet. But again, I mean, she's so pleasant. I can't imagine that she would be a problem. I mean, she just kind of walks up to everybody. It's like, hi, you want to be my friend?
Yeah, I will tell you from her being here in studio, she's been very a big crowd pleaser with everyone.
Absolutely, and she really wanted to get into Mary Beth's snack bars. But then she heard they were low fat.
Don't we all? Yeah. You could use a few of those.
I know.
So if you do have a pet at home, obviously we've been talking about, you know, in just the past couple of weeks about people who've been experiencing hurricanes and that sort of thing. What should you have in place if, in fact, you have to do something where you have to leave your home and your pet go with you?
Well, I mean, we all kind of had a bit of a scare this past weekend with Earl. We kind of didn't know what exactly was going to happen, whether he was coming straight at us or he was just going to kind of glance by us. Turns out we were lucky and really didn't have to worry too much about anything. But, you know, just in case, it kind of set me thinking about, well, what would we do if something like Katrina happened to Washington, D.C.? You know, the unfortunate thing is that so many people with Katrina left their pets behind thinking, oh, we'll be back tomorrow. And then it was weeks and weeks and weeks, if not months, before they were able to get back home. And there were some real tragedies that occurred, you know, not only for human lives, but for animal lives in New Orleans. Plus, we have the anniversary of 9/11 coming up this weekend. And so, I mean, it's really something that we all need to, you know, we hate thinking about it, but it's something we should think about. And we should really start getting a plan in place, not only for our canine family members, obviously, but for us as well. And so, you know, thinking about it ahead of time, getting a plan in place, practice, to get everybody in the house ready and accustomed to, you know, enacting this plan in case you have an hour to get out of your home. You know, so have a little evacuation kit prepared, you know, not only for your kids and your family members, and there's great places to get information on what to do for yourself, but for these guys as well. And, you know, what that is going to entail is having food and water supply for, you know, preferably a couple of weeks ready to go. Housing for these guys prearranged, you know, about a 90 to 100 mile radius from your home. Look and see, like, boarding kennels or veterinary hospitals that do boarding.
Who would take them.
Yeah, or even hotels that accept pets, because again, it may be that you have to jump in your car, get on your cell phone and call ahead and try to find a place for you and your pets to go to. So if you've already done that and you have the contact information for that ready, all you have to do when you get in the car is call and say, we're on our way, do you have availability? You know, have a couple of options there. Have a kit ready for your pet, a waterproof, you know, kit that's maybe in your garage, that's easily accessible, that has your pet's medical records in it. And here's one of my pet peeves: not receipts of things that you've paid for at a veterinary office.
Right.
That's not a medical record. Right. People do that all the time. It's like, see, here's my receipt. Okay, well, it doesn't tell me anything about what
their history,
the doctor found, about what the recommendations were, what the medications that they're on, and even have a little supply of your pet's medications, have a list of the things that they're on and dosages and flea and tick prevention. I mean, all these things that you might need in a 2-week period for your pet. If you've got cats, have a cat carrier that's big enough to have a litter box and a couple of bowls and an area for your cat to lay in. That's going to be bigger than our typical little cat carrier. But something like that, you're going to need that to be able to toss it in your car and put your cat in there and go. You know, I mean, so all of these things are things that if you think about it ahead of time, it's not going to be that hard in the moment, but it would be horrific to try to come up with all of this stuff, you know, if you had an hour to get you and your family out of your home.
Talk about medical records, and I know when a lot of people adopt from a shelter or take in a dog, they're not sure the history. So would you recommend that, you know, part of that plan being take them to a vet, find out what they've gone through, what shots they need, this, that, and the other?
Absolutely. And, you know, most of the time, like especially from, I know from Alexandria Welfare League, they almost require you, they highly recommend you to take the pet within 3 days. They give you a 72-hour window that if you take the pet to a veterinarian and they've got an awful condition and you say, I can't, my family can't handle dealing with this, then you can bring them back to the shelter. So if you do that within 72 hours, not only do you learn so much in-depth information about the pet that you're taking home, it's just best for the pet too to get them updated. And then, you know, also, just in case you're not at home, if those evacuation orders are listed, make sure that your pets are microchipped. Make sure that you have registered the microchips.
Right. Doesn't do good if you just put it on them.
I will admit fault here. Whenever I'm preparing for this discussion, I'm like, I think both of my dogs are microchipped, and I realized that one of my dogs was not registered, so shame on me.
Right.
You know? So I went and did that. But you know, make sure that they're registered. Have the little stickers on your window at home that say, I have 2 dogs and a cat. You know, attention firefighters. You can get those at any pet store, at any veterinarian's office, because those workers will actually look at those and say, we've got to get in here because there are pets in here. Right. So you know, have those on there just in case you're not home. And you know, just make sure that each of your pets is properly identified, even if they're inside cats or whatever.
Just
make sure that they're
people coming to your house know. Absolutely, some great advice. And we want to tell everybody one more time, if you've noticed how adorable Callie is and you would like to give her a home, there you have some information there on the screen about the Alexandria Animal Welfare League, and you can take her home. She can be the newest addition to your family that you can prepare for. Thank you so much for coming in, as always.
And if anybody wants any additional information, avma.org, American Veterinary Medical Association.org, has tons of information on evacuation and all of that for your pets.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Well, it is a global celebration of style. We'll talk to City Shop Girls about Fashion's Night Out and how you can get in on the sales. And if you want more, just follow us on Twitter. It's Let's Talk Live DC.